Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our second Parents Forum of today. This event is aimed at the families of Year 8 to Year 13. And I firstly would like to take this virtual opportunity to introduce myself to all of you as the new principal of Ash Green School. My name is Umber Sharif, and I'm joining your community after what can only be described as a really extraordinary chapter in our global history. You're going to be listening in to a lot of really key information, and I do hope there are some students watching alongside family members to really understand that to welcome you all back, there have been a number of changes at the Academy. And also my office has changed. So the principal's office is now based in the Michael Dixon building, and you'll be able to see me and I'll be able to see you all as you're going about your daily activities. So we have a staggered start, lots of different pieces of information. And just to share with you at the start of this, before I hand over to my colleague, this event will naturally turn off because it's a live event at the designated time, and you will get a slight cue before that happens. So I'm really excited to meet all students and to meet all families. And I'm going to hand over to Tony Lee, Vice Principal, who will talk you through the COVID school and how we have prepared our site to welcome our student community.
Good evening, everyone. I've had the great pleasure of meeting many of you before. As mentioned, my name's Tony Lee. I'm the Vice Principal here at Ash Green School, and it's my job to talk you through some of the logistical timing changes and how the bubbles are going to operate in our new, as we label it, COVID school. For the students that have been with us for many years, this information is quite vital, and it will mean quite a lot to you as you know the school site, and you'll be able to start to piece together how school is going to look when we do return over the next few days. Thank you. Okay, so before I start talking through the bubbles and any logistical information, I think it's a good start to think about what were the principles behind any changes we've made to the school, as well as health and safety. How do we make sure that any changes we make are going to be meaningful for our own context? So firstly, we also need to uphold the values of Ash Green School and its place within the Creative Education Trust. We obviously had to maintain the equity of provision for all of our learners to make sure that they have a full complement of the curriculum like they had before the COVID event. Having clear plans to close the gaps in learning and accelerate progress for all students, making sure that we seize all teaching and learning opportunities to try and really make up for that lost learning. And we need to be efficient, avoiding unexpected and unnecessary workload for our staff to ensure that they can obviously ensure that teaching and learning is of a high quality. We need to effectively support the smooth operation of our school with all the new changes that COVID health and safety restrictions and advice actually brings about. And more importantly than anything else, keep everyone safe at all times. So I'm going to start with an overview diagram of the school. Many of you won't have seen the school from a bird's eye view before, but hopefully some of the areas here will make sense to you, and especially well as I go through the individual bubbles for the individual year groups. So firstly, I just want to talk you through the basics. We have 6 bubbles in operation when school reopens, and year 12 and 13 will be combined into one group. We have year 10 and 11s in the vicinity of art and ICT suites to protect that option subject provision that we obviously know is so important. We have Key Stage 3 in operation in a completely separate area to the school and with different timings to ensure there is limited crossing of students across the school. And each year group will have designated outdoor space for good weather when we can use it, and optimising the huge field and outside space we do have. We also have each bubble with designated toilets, so there'll be no cross contamination, if you like, of students going across bubbles to access facilities. And each bubble will have its own gate and entry slot to make sure that, again, there is limited crossing of students. Again, as a more technical drawing, you can see how the school is divided up here, and I'll be talking through the individual bubbles shortly. Okay, so we've had the Year 7 Parent Forum previously, but I'm going to talk through how the timings to Key Stage 3 will work. Our Year 7s will be coming in and operating in a bubble, which is the ground floor of the Michael Dixon building, our newest part of our school site. As you can see from the diagram on the far left, our students will enter through the main gate for year 7 and 12 and 13 at slightly different times. Our year 7 students will come through the main gate, straight through the main reception and access the classrooms on the ground floor. They'll have an outside space in the middle of this slide, which is at the back side of the 3 tennis courts and basketball courts, and they'll have that whole third of the field in good weather to be able to use during their social times. During wet weather, as a school, we don't have a huge amount of undercover space for outside, so we will be ensuring that staff are available to open up classrooms during the social times if weather is poor. On the right hand side, you'll see the timings of the day. This is the Key Stage 3 all year groups, not just year 7. So I'll talk about this mainly on this slide and talk about it a little bit quicker on the other Key Stage 3 slides. The big changes here are that tutor time doesn't have a separate slot. It actually operates within period 1 of the day. So period 1 is slightly longer by 15 minutes, and all tutor activities and tutor information, assemblies and such will take place virtually during that time. You'll see that we've maintained a 2-1-2 model, so 2 lessons break, period 3 lunch and period 4 and 5. Although the movement time between those lessons has been removed, making it that we can actually reduce the timings of the day quite significantly without losing any teaching time. This allows for limited time on school site, which has obvious benefits for health and safety. You'll see that in asterisks there that we do have a period 4 finish on a Wednesday. This is for a range of reasons, and it will allow the school to be regularly checked, sanitised, and allow staff to walk through those plans to really reduce lost learning and accelerate teaching and learning through the school. So that time is going to be used for that. You'll see that each key stage will have a arrival window. Now, traditionally, we have students turning up at a range of different times before the school day. We've had to limit that significantly to ensure that we can supervise and restrict movement around the school. So the arrival window will be between 8:30 and 8:45 for Key Stage 3 students, at which point their gates will open and they'll be welcomed onto the school site. You'll also see that your year 7 students will have a blue lanyard to show them visually that they belong to that specific bubble. Year 8, similar, same timings to year 7, slightly different. They have a green lanyard, and you'll see that they operate on the first floor of the Michael Dixon building. Their entrance to school is through the science gate. They will come in and hang immediately left and go straight up the stairs, and that will be their route in and out of that building. Obviously, in the event of a fire, all doors and exits will be utilised. However, in regular school working, that will be their exit and entry to the school. You'll see there that it says food delivery to classes. So a big change here is that we will no longer be operating a canteen service, because for obvious reasons that will reduce large gatherings and pinch points in the school. We've actually worked a system where food can be pre-ordered, which I will allude to a little bit later through this presentation, and as well as being ordered, it can be distributed to the classes individually just before lunchtime begins, so students will get their full break and have their food delivered to them, which obviously will limit any large gatherings. And you'll see that the outside space utilised for year 8 is that centre part of the field. Any students watching will know that that is if the trees are on their left and that centre part of the field, then that's their outside space during good weather. Again, same arrival window for 8:30 to 8:45. For year 9s, they operate in the external science buildings. So we have the 4 science rooms in the external block and the 2 science rooms, S8 and S9, as at the end of the staff car park in the science area. Again, they'll be utilised in the science gate. However, the floor will be clearly marked to show that students can access that gate, turn immediately right, and they'll access those buildings in the science area through the external fire doors, so that there is no crossing of year 8 and year 9 students at that point. Again, arrival times are the same with the early finish on a Wednesday, but purple lanyards will be worn by year 9 as their method of identification. And also the space on the right hand side of the field will be utilised for year 9s, as it is the closest in proximity to their bubble. Year 10s, so theirs is going to be operating in and around the arts, English and maths area. We've managed to use this area, although it's not as easy to divide up as the previous bubbles, it does offer us an opportunity to still separate year 10 and 11 students. So I'm just going to quickly talk you through how this model works. The ground floor maths rooms that are traditionally leading to the canteen and moving round towards the blue bungalow, those 4 maths rooms will be used for year 10. In addition to that, we'll have E6, which is an upstairs room above the arts and English area, and we'll have all outward facing rooms for the art and English area, including E7 A3 and A4. A4 being a computer suite for lessons that require ICT equipment. Their outside space is going to be the hard flooring, the tennis court, basketball court and far football courts on the school site. And the toilets for those for the year 10s are actually going to be the converted changing rooms, will no longer be in operation for the sports hall. And they've been labelled up ready for students arriving on Monday. Again, the timings are shorter on a Wednesday, but it's worth noting that the timings of the day slightly shifts. You'll notice that on a regular day, they operate in a 2-2-1 model. 2 periods break, 2 periods at lunch, and then leaving after a period 5. For the early finish to happen on a Wednesday, that changes slightly to a 2-1-1 model. So for year 11, they'll operate in the arts and English area as well. However, they will have the entire English corridor, the I room at certain times, the library, the 2 art rooms A1 and A2, and 2 computer suites SP4 and A4. They will operate with a yellow lanyard so we can identify them quickly, and food again will be delivered to the bubbles at their social time. Again, they operate in a 2-2-1 model, their lunch being significantly later than the Key Stage 3 to make sure that there is no mixing of students during social times. And their outside space will be the grassed area outside Arts and English and that entire Vicarage Lane area that is often actually occupied by year 11 students. Again, they will switch to a 2-1-1 on a Wednesday to ensure an early finish. The toilets being used for year 11 were previously staff toilets, and they are in the top corner of this diagram, and they are easy access from this bubble. You'll notice that the toilets in each of these bubbles ensure that students will not have to move very far anywhere on the school site, and even access to outside space is very direct. And finally, for year 12 and 13, we have the upstairs maths rooms, we have the SSC, sorry, the sixth form study room, the sixth form social and study room that was at the bottom. It's going to be a dynamic teaching space. We have access to the drama rooms for Key Stage 5 drama, and we have health and social care, which is an ICT suite. It's worth just noting that the entrance gate is the main gate again for year 12 and 13, but they'll take a separate route through the school and access this from a different angle to the year 7s. I'm just going to quickly mention that the Vicarage Lane South gate is used for year 11 and the Vicarage Lane North gate is used for year 10. This will be shared with all students as part of their induction process. Lesson timings, just quickly to talk through what I've already mentioned, that slight change on a Wednesday to ensure the early finish can happen. And post-16 students will operate with 6 periods to ensure they can have 3-hour blocks, so they ensure they have quality learning opportunities and they don't have any lost learning. So food ordering and distribution. So I'm going to quickly talk through the induction process. So over the next 3 days, we have various year groups coming in. During those days, all food will be offered complimentary to ensure that students have time to set up our new online payment system and ordering system. The process will be that students can order during period 1 in that 15-minute additional time added on to the school day, and the menu will be reduced. However, we're maintaining hot and cold options available, and there will be vegetarian and meat options to make sure we cater for all students. And as previously mentioned, the distribution will be delivered to individual classes at the beginning of lunchtime. The reason we've given this period of free food is to allow us to set up our food distribution following the induction process, which will be utilising parent pay, which we already have a large uptake with our students, and this will be used as a method of pre-ordering and prepayment. Parents will be able to load money on and select meals for the following day. Tutors can also complete any orders that may have been missed on that day before. We all live busy lives, I'm sure that will happen from time to time, but rest assured there will be a chance to order on the day on the occasions where that's needed. And if you have any issues with logging on to parent pay and you need that sorting, please just contact the school and we will address that as a matter of urgency to make sure everyone can access food as of Tuesday of next week. Okay, so at this point, there's a bit of an information overload from logistics. So I'm going to hand over now to Angela Boland, our assistant principal, who's going to talk through the expectations of the COVID school once students arrive back. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. So I'm now going to talk us through our expectations when we return. Obviously, it's been quite some time since students have been in school, and it's really important that students are very clear on what our expectations are when they return. Some students may have been in school during our key worker provision, and when the school was certainly very different to what it would normally be on a normal daily basis. And as we switch back into that new normality, we need to ensure that students understand our high expectations and high standards we have. So our focus with students is always about high expectations. We encourage students to have high expectations, do their best, and make a difference every day in their learning. So we work hard as a staff body to make sure, as you can see there, that all students matter and can grow in confidence as learners and as people, that every student gets exciting opportunities to learn. All students are responsible for their learning. Students understand that they work best when they work together. All in our school community treat each other with mutual understanding and respect, that the school is a safe, secure and happy environment of which we're all proud, and we create an inclusive, aspirational environment where our students can thrive. And it's really the details of what we do on a daily basis that ensures that all of those things do happen for students. We have high expectations of attendance. We're in a situation at this moment in time where obviously there has been a period of lost learning time for students, and it's really important that now we bring students back to school and we start to focus on making sure that they can catch up as quickly as possible. Mr. Lee's already mentioned how, staff will be focusing a lot of their time on ensuring that the curriculum planning for students ensures that that progress is made, but that progress can only be made if the students are there in front of us. And the child's attendance at school is directly linked to their success in school. We know that excellent attendance will significantly improve progress and attainment. So it's our expectation that every child now attends school all of the time. Students who do attend well, as per our normal attendance strategy, will receive rewards and incentives for their hard work and commitment to being in school. And we do have a attendance support team who will be there in order to work with supporting families to ensure that maximum attendance is attained throughout the school year. We monitor students' attendance and we do offer ongoing support throughout the year. So I've just put on the screen for you there a table to indicate to you really what happens when students' attendance does fall below our expectations and the actions that we'll take in order to seek improvement. Now, a reminder to you all that there are 2 sessions every school day. So a student will be marked in AM registration first thing in the morning, and then will be marked in when they have their afternoon mark with their class teachers. That will count as their PM registration. We begin to monitor and identify where students are starting to fall below our expectations and become at risk of falling further below our expectations as soon as a student has missed 3 sessions. So that's 1.5 school days, but that equates to 7 missed learning hours. What the action that we take, as you can see there, is that we will send a letter home indicating that a monitoring period will be taking place, and our attendance support team will have conversation with students and parents in order to support and improve attendance for that child. The stages increase. So once a student has missed 7 sessions, which equates to 18 missed learning hours, there'll be a parental meeting set up and targets agreed with the school in order to improve. We will then continue to monitor for improvements. And if a student reaches 12 sessions missed, so equivalent to 30 learning hours, there will be an initial referral made to Warwickshire Attendance Service, who will set pre-legal target and set up a supportive meeting. At every stage, our interventions are supportive. We want to improve your child's attendance, and so the focus is always on what we can do in order to support families to improve attendance. As part of the attendance strategy, arriving on time to school is critical, and in the new normal circumstances that we find ourselves in post-COVID. A student arriving late to school is somebody who will be in direct breach of our health and safety policy. As you can see from Mr. Lee's presentation, it's very important that we are able to manage and control the entry of students into school, which is why we've got the different entrances and the different start times for different key stage students. A student who arrives late to school therefore jeopardises that work that we've done around organising the school in such a way. If a student is 10 minutes late to school, they will receive a late mark, and a detention, an after school 10-minute detention will be set on the same school day. Notification will be made to parents via class charts that will be happening, so you will be aware that a student has received that. You will also be informed that they have arrived late, so that you can have that conversation with them. Why were they late? You know, you may feel that there is no reason for them to have been late to school. So, you know, we see this as the first intervention of parents to support us in ensuring that students do attend school on time. The school will rapidly escalate actions where persistent late arrival occurs, and at all times we will be talking to you in order to improve that. We feel that that is a key way of being able to improve that. In terms of uniform, the key thing that I want to outline to you here is that we expect every day high standards of dress and appearance. It's important for our students to feel a strong sense of community. They are part of the Ash Green School community, and they therefore should wear that uniform and that school logo with pride. We have a smart uniform which starts to develop that sense of professionalism that our students should feel when they come to school, and the fact that we have got that unified uniform that students are all wearing really gives us that shared purpose. We're all together, we are all part of one community. I'm not going to go into all of the details. You've got the details of the school uniform in the homeschool agreement that's been sent home via parent mail, and also you can find those details on the school website. Things just to outline to you, a student must attend school wearing formal black leather or leather style shoes, and particularly cosmetic items such as fake eyelashes, acrylic nails must not be worn to school, and we will be asking for those to be removed if a student does attend. So if you happen to be the parent of a child this evening who maybe has acrylic nails or anything like that ahead of tomorrow, ahead of their return to school next week, please make sure that that is rectified. Similarly with facial piercings. In terms of equipment, it's really important that students arrive to school with correct equipment. We're not in a position where we can lend students pens, etc. in lessons like we perhaps would have done in the past. In order to reduce any risk of viral transmission, we need to make sure that students are fully equipped themselves for lessons. So again, in the homeschool agreement, you can see the outline of what we expect, and just on the screen there, a minimum expectation of those items to ensure that students are ready and prepared to learn. Now, during lockdown, I'm sure many students have found that they've spent an increasing amount of time on their mobile phones, and screen time usage has increased. So thankfully, school is returning and we can help you to reduce that. Students are not allowed to bring mobile phones into school or use them in school. We know that in reality students will bring phones into school. Many parents like students to have phones for peace of mind when they are making their way to and from school. Therefore, the expectation we have is that on arrival at the school gate, any mobile phones that students do have must be switched off and placed into school bags. You know that if you need to get a message to children at the school during the school day, sending that message by contacting school reception, we can ensure that messages are sent to students that way. Any mobile phone or personal device that is brought into school is entirely at students and parents, carers or anyone else's own risk. So it's really important that you understand that we accept no responsibility for any damage that happens to those. Again, all of this is in the homeschool agreement, but to outline to you very clearly that if a student does use a mobile phone in school or an electronic device that they should not be using, then they will be given an amber detention for that. And I'll go into detentions shortly in a little bit more detail. So the Ash Green Way, we're very much going to be talking to students about our expectations of them, and this is our Ash Green Way, what we expect our students to be doing on a daily basis, what we expect them to be contributing to our school community. I'm not going to read through every single point again, all of this is in the homeschool agreement, but all of these elements are what we feel helps our students to make the progress that they need to, take the pride that they need to have in the school community, and really enjoy that shared experience of being at school with us. Okay, so I mentioned detentions related to mobile phones. I'm just going to go into a little bit of detail about this because there's some key information that you as parents do need to know and to convey to children at home as well. It's important for you to know that the school does not require parental permission to impose detentions or other school sanctions. However, what we do is we provide you with notice via class charts if a student is required to attend an after-school detention, which is in line with our Trust Behaviour for Learning policy. So any parents who have not got the login details for class charts, can I please ask that is a priority, that you make sure when students return to school that you get logged into class charts and get the access details for that, because it is a key way that we communicate with you. We will, in exceptional circumstances, impose same-day detentions, but only when parents and carers have been informed of that, and that would be by a member of the SLT that would only do that. Okay, so the detention system has slightly changed for the next academic year. The same system that we've always had in place does continue. So the yellow, amber, red system, warning system that we use for students in our behaviour pathway will continue. The yellow warning detention of 10 minutes will still be set, but this now moves from being a break or lunchtime detention to an after school detention. And those detentions would take place in set bubble areas. So if you are in year 9, for example, your detention would take place immediately after school on the same day that it's been set, but that would take place in S1 and would be completed with a teacher who's within that bubble rota. They do, for parents to be aware, a yellow warning detention will happen immediately after school on the same day that it has been set, and you would be notified via class charts of that, so you would have that information there. An amber warning detention is 30 minutes. They will still take place after school. They will now take place centrally, SLT led in the community theatre, and will be half an hour immediately after the end of the school day for Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4. And a red detention, the timing of that's changed. Previously a red detention was 60 minutes, but that's now changed to 45 minutes to ensure that we can have everyone off school site by 4 p.m. This is just an outline for you so you can see where students will be in the community theatre for those after school detentions. So because we've got students from different bubbles that will be in that large space, I want you to see very clearly how they will be zoned so that they are still separated and distant between each of the different zones, with different entrances for each group of students, and how they will be organised. Failure to attend after school detentions will result in those detentions being upscaled. So, for example, if a student misses an amber detention, that will be immediately upscaled to a 45-minute red after school detention with SLT. As has been the case previously, if a student doesn't attend their red detentions that are set, that will result in internal supervision, where they would be placed in supervision the next school day and would still be expected to complete that red detention immediately after school on that same day. You would be notified that a student had been placed in supervision, but that would be the expectation. It's minimal that has to happen, because actually what we have is we have our students that when they do on the rare occasion get those red detentions, they do make sure that they sit those, but obviously you need to know very clearly what the progressive stage is those If a student doesn't attend the red detentions over a consistent period of time, then that will result in a fixed term exclusion. But as I said, that's not somewhere that I think that we'll necessarily need to be. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about homework. Students will be familiar with using knowledge organiser folders for learning key pieces of information for homework and for knowledge organiser tests. That will continue into this academic year. We find that it is important in order to improve students' additional progress, and actually, as a result of lockdown and students' ability to work independently much more so, we feel this is something that actually will have an increased importance now for students in helping them to catch up with any of that lost learning that they may have had. So that will continue. I'm just going to whiz through these slides a little bit. Students will just here have an outline of the different levels of homework that will be set, how much time you would be set each evening you would be expected to complete as a minimum, and just a little reminder of what your knowledge organiser book looks like. You will of course receive your knowledge organiser book and a practice book alongside that for you to be working through. Your teachers will be giving you those knowledge organiser sheets in order for you to be focusing on your independent learning from those. And you're all familiar with what your knowledge organiser sheets look like, but this is just a little recap for you. And then also an example of how you may be tested. So it's quick, low stakes tests that you would do in the first 5 minutes of a lesson, but a quick recap after being given a piece of information to learn. As you can see there, there's an example of learning that students had to do for graphics. They've then gone into what they needed to do for the test following on from that. And like detentions being set through class charts, homework likewise will be set for students through class charts. The homework can also be supplemented with online learning such as Seneca Learning, Maths Watch, etc. It could be project-based learning, extended writing responses, and research and reading activities also. And just to outline expectations around homework, it's very important, like all exercise books, that students take care of their books, take care of their knowledge organisers. And if a student does lose their knowledge organiser, they will need to pay 50p for a replacement folder and 30p if they lose their practice book to replace those. So really important that they have a school bag that they can keep all of that equipment in, ready to bring into school each day. And then finally, at the end of your homeschool agreement, you'll see that there's an outline of this table. This just outlines to you what we expect of students on a daily basis, really, when being in school, what we expect from families in terms of supporting students in school, and what you can expect from us. So you've got that on the homeschool agreement in order to look through and have a read through of that information. I'm now going to hand you over to Mrs. Wing, who is going to talk to you about safeguarding and inclusion.
Good evening, I'm Mrs. Wing, Director of Inclusion, Safeguarding and SEN. On the screen you will see my contact details. So as Director of Inclusion and SENCO, my role is to support young people to ensure they're safe and well at Ash Green, and support and strategies are accurate for them. Each Friday, I will be holding inclusion reviews of the plans for young people. If you would like to book a meeting with me to discuss the support for your child, please email me on the contact on the screen. Should you have any safeguarding concerns in relation to your child, please contact the school and ask for Mrs. Wing or a member of the inclusion team. We look forward to welcoming you all back tomorrow. We're all back, sorry. Thank you for watching, and as this is a live feed, it will end the meeting now.